Comfortable men are the most dangerous threat to society. And if you do not understand why, you are probably part of the problem rather than part of the solution. What I am about to explain will fundamentally challenge everything you have been taught about success, happiness, and what it means to live a good life. Because the pursuit of comfort that modern society promotes as the ultimate goal is actually the primary force that is destroying individual character, family stability, and civilizational strength at an unprecedented rate. The comfortable life is not the reward for hard work. It is the trap that prevents hard work from producing the kind of men that societies need to survive and thrive through inevitable challenges and crises. But here is what makes this so insidious. Comfort addiction looks like success from the outside, while slowly destroying every quality that made men valuable to their communities, families, and themselves throughout human history. Let me explain exactly why comfortable men pose such a threat, and what you can do to avoid becoming one of them. The first way comfortable men threaten society is through the erosion of preparedness and competence that comes from never being tested against real challenges or consequences. When men live their entire lives in climate-controlled environments, with food delivered to their door, with entertainment available at the touch of a button, with every physical and emotional need met through external systems rather than personal capability, they never develop the skills, strength, or mental toughness that previous generations took for granted as basic requirements for adult responsibility. These comfortable men cannot fix their own equipment, defend their own families, produce their own food, or solve their own problems without calling experts or relying on institutions that may not always be available or reliable. When crisis inevitably arrives, whether personal, economic, or societal, these men become liabilities rather than assets because they have spent their lives being served rather than learning to serve others. They expect others to take care of them rather than taking responsibility for protecting and providing for the people who depend on them. But the problem goes deeper than just practical incompetence. Comfortable men also lose the psychological and spiritual qualities that make them capable of leadership, sacrifice, and principled action when those qualities are needed most. Men who have never voluntarily embraced discomfort, never pushed through genuine hardship, never chosen duty over pleasure when the choice was difficult, have not developed the character that allows them to make hard decisions or take unpopular stands when circumstances require moral courage rather than social conformity. They have trained themselves to seek the path of least resistance in every situation, which means they will cave under pressure, abandon their principles when challenged, and prioritize their own comfort over their responsibilities to others when forced to choose between the two. The second threat comes from the psychological weakness that comfort addiction creates in men who have never learned to derive satisfaction from overcoming challenges rather than avoiding them. Modern comfort culture teaches men that the goal of life is to minimize effort, maximize pleasure, and eliminate as much struggle and uncertainty as possible from their daily experience. This approach creates men who are psychologically brittle because they have no tolerance for frustration, no capacity to delay gratification, and no experience with finding meaning and satisfaction through voluntary hardship and service to others. These comfortable men become depressed, anxious, and nihilistic, because they have been pursuing goals that provide temporary pleasure but no lasting fulfillment or sense of purpose. They medicate their emptiness with more comfort, more entertainment, more stimulation. But these solutions only deepen the problem because they further separate them from the challenges and responsibilities that could provide genuine meaning and self-respect. They become increasingly dependent on external sources for their sense of worth and direction, because they have never developed the internal strength that comes from testing yourself against difficult circumstances and discovering your own capabilities and limits. The third threat is the way comfortable men vote, spend money, and influence culture in ways that prioritize short-term ease over long-term strength and sustainability. Men who are addicted to comfort naturally support policies and systems that promise to make life easier rather than systems that build character, competence, and resilience in individuals and communities. They vote for politicians who promise more benefits and fewer responsibilities, rather than leaders who tell the truth about what it takes to maintain freedom and prosperity across generations. They spend money on products and services that increase their dependence on others rather than investing in capabilities that increase their self-reliance and ability to contribute value during challenging times. They influence culture through their choices and preferences in ways that normalize weakness, celebrate mediocrity, and discourage the kind of excellence that requires sustained effort and voluntary sacrifice. But here is what makes this especially dangerous. Comfortable men often raise comfortable children who are even less prepared for reality than their parents were, which means the problem compounds across generations until entire populations become so soft and dependent that they cannot maintain the institutions and freedoms that previous generations built through extraordinary hardship and sacrifice. The solution is not to eliminate all comfort from your life, but to regularly choose voluntary hardship that builds the strength, skills, and character that comfort erodes over time. This means deliberately seeking out challenges that test your physical capabilities, mental toughness, and moral courage, rather than always choosing the easiest available option. This means learning practical skills that make you more self-reliant and useful to others during difficult situations, rather than just acquiring credentials or consuming entertainment. This means taking on responsibilities that require you to serve others rather than just pursuing activities that serve your own immediate interests or provide personal pleasure. This means embracing discomfort through practices like intense physical training, cold exposure, fasting, or other forms of voluntary hardship that teach you that you are stronger and more capable than your comfort-seeking mind wants you to believe. This means setting increasingly challenging goals that force you to develop new capabilities and push beyond the limitations that previously defined your sense of what was possible in your life. Most importantly, it means choosing to live according to principles rather than just preferences, even when doing so requires sacrificing comfort, convenience, or social approval. The goal is not to become a hardcore survivalist or reject all modern conveniences, but to maintain the kind of physical, mental, and moral strength that allows you to use comfort without being controlled by it. When you know you can handle hardship, you can enjoy comfort without becoming dependent on it. When you have proven to yourself that you can sacrifice for others, you can receive benefits without becoming entitled to them. When you have developed genuine capabilities, you can use modern conveniences without losing the ability to function when those conveniences are not available. The men who will thrive in the uncertain future that awaits all of us are not the ones who have accumulated the most comfort, but the ones who have developed the most capability to handle whatever challenges arise. They will be the ones who have maintained physical strength, practical skills, mental toughness, and moral courage through deliberate practice, rather than accidentally losing these qualities through comfortable living. If you are ready to stop being part of the problem and start developing the kind of strength that makes you an asset rather than a liability to your family and community, follow this channel and turn on notifications. The future belongs to those who prepare for it rather than just hoping it will be comfortable. What is one area of your life where you have become too comfortable and need to introduce voluntary challenge to maintain your strength and capabilities?